discrepancies in the sector's operations. The federal government has commenced the issuance of new vaccination cards for yellow fever, cholera and smallpox. Flagging off the event in Abuja, the Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu, says the card, also to be known as the International Certificate of Vaccination, will replace the old ones with effect from October the 1st. On the foreign scene, the past has come calling for Abdul Qadir Mullah, a leader of the main Islamist party convicted of crimes against humanity during the war for independence from Pakistan in 1971, as the Bangladesh highest court sentenced him to death. Abdul Qadir Mullah has denied all the charges. His sentence was increased to death by the Supreme Court as he appealed against his conviction. Official estimates say more than 3 million people were killed in the war. Those are the top stories of this hour. It's back to you, Harriet.
Well, thank you so much, Adeshawa. Well, you can get more on those top stories and other stories we're tracking here on Channels Television on our website. That's channelstv.com or on youtube.com/channelsweb. But let's take a look at what's happening outside our shores. Well, the big story at this moment is the fact that the Federal Reserve Bank has begun its two-day policy meeting today, at which it's expected to reduce, or they're forecasting, that economists are expecting that the U.S. bank will actually reduce its bond buying program. Well, investors will also be waiting to see if economists' expectation that the bank will cut its bond purchases by $10 billion from the current $85 billion per month will actually happen. But let's look at how some major markets are reacting to this piece of news. The U.S. stocks eased off their best levels on Monday, but still finished sharply higher, boosted by news that Larry Summers, one of the contenders vying for the post of chairman of the Federal Reserve, had pulled out of the race. While the Dow Jones Industrial Average rallied 118.72 basis points to close at 15,494.78, and dealers say the Dow is on track for its best monthly gain since January. The S&P 500 jumped 9.61 points, that's 0.5% higher, to finish at 1,697.60. The Nasdaq fell 0.12%, which is about 4.34 points, cut off to end at 3,717.85, reversing its initial gains after rallying to a fresh 13-year high near the open. Let's cross over to the Asian burst now, and the Asian equity markets ended mostly lower today amid anticipation of a reduction in U.S. stimulus program. China's benchmark, that's the Shanghai index, fell to its lowest since September the 9th ahead of public holidays later this week. The index shed 2.05% to finish at 2,185.56. The K225 index slipped by 0.65% to finish at 14,311.67 as it played catch-up with the region after being shut on Monday for a long weekend. While the Hang Seng is also in negative territory, it's down about 0.31% to 2,361.30. Well, European shares also opened lower today as investors turned cautious. And the FTSE 100 is down 24.93 basis points to 6,597.91. The DAX and CAC 40 are also trading in negative territory. Now we're expecting that whatever news comes out of the Federal Reserve Bank's meeting, it will definitely turn investors' appetite positive, which is what everybody is expecting. That's how the markets outside our shores are looking at the moment, and we're hoping that investors' appetite will reverse its present stance and turn positive. Now, on Monday, September the 9th, the Securities and Exchange Commission inaugurated a 10-year capital market master plan committee to, among other things, make necessary recommendations that will improve the efficiency, transparency and stability of the Nigerian capital market. Now, 3 committees to focus on enhancing the global competitiveness of the Nigerian capital market and catalyze Nigeria's potential to become the largest economy in Africa within the focused period. How different are they from the other committees that have been set up in the not too distant past? The committees are expected to come up with a blueprint for the transformation of the capital market. What should investors and dealers alike expect the roadmap to be? Well, I'll be joined on the program by the former president, Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Mr. Mike Iteboje, and that's what we're going to be looking at on the show today. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. But just before we went on that short break, I told you that today on the program we'll be focusing on the Securities and Exchange Commission's 10-year capital market master plan, which is to revamp the Nigerian capital market and improve the efficiency, transparency and stability of the market so that investors' appetite will be to improve, that is, investors' appetite, because we know in recent times, because of the challenges that have actually cropped up in some markets, the Nigerian capital market has also come under pressure. But to talk more about all of this and other developments at the Nigerian capital market, I'm being joined on the program by the former president, Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Mr. Mike Iteboje. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Well, let's just start with what we already know. The committees have actually been inaugurated. It's not something that is news anymore. But what we'd like to know is how different are these companies from the other committees that have actually been set up in the not too distant past?
First, the difference is that this one have a scheduled plan that is to take us for the next 10 years, a plan for the next 10 years. They are planning, those committees are working an agenda out for the next 10 years for the market, which was not the case with the other committees.
So
the other committees were just given a different agenda, a different plan. Okay, how do we improve the capital market and all that and that?
But that's still what these committees are doing.
But this one has, in addition, to set up a master plan for 10 years. Something that we all will work towards achieving. We want to see, okay, let's say, a blueprint that we all can look back and say, for the past 10 years, we've gone this step and we've performed this way, and we have achieved the goals set out in the master plan.
Okay, so what about the other reports that the other committees have actually put forward? Shouldn't emphasis now be on those reports that have actually come? Shouldn't there be emphasis on implementing?
If you listen to the DG of the SEC at the inauguration, she said actually that efforts have been made in the past to implement the decisions of those committees. And she rolled out a list of the ideas and plans that were achieved. So this one is taking us a step further than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now those plans that she said that we've actually achieved now, did she give a time frame of when we're supposed to be seeing how this will roll out? Because we already know that the master plan is for 10 years.
Yeah.
The other reports that we've actually gotten, was there a time frame given for how we should see how it's going to be implemented?
No. There was no time frame given. They were just to submit a report on what can be done and what should be done, and then they did. Unfortunately, the leadership